Hey, welcome. Hello, hello. I'm Regina from At Maytree, and I have Hollis Citron here from I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing. So we're going to talk to you tonight about the importance of story. And so, Hollis, would you like to do a little introduction to and tell us what is I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing, first of all?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me in this space. I love talking to you.
Me too.
Um,
Well, I love
so,
you.
thank you. Sorry. Art teacher 30 years and just always had this found that my message all the time was that you're creative regardless, because people would always say, I can't draw or paint.
Yeah.
So my messaging has been there since I'm 20, but at 53, it finally dawned on me to realize that here I am getting this message across that creativity goes beyond a pencil and a paintbrush. So with I Am Creative, there's lots of different ways that we do that. And the publishing house was born recently, and it's just another way for people to tell their story and share it and get it out into the world.
Beautiful. So story is one of the things that, as you and I have worked together on all sorts of things, on the podcast, on the book, on lots of different projects, including the summit that's coming up starting tomorrow, which Hollis is going to be one of the guest speakers there. And we're going to be having what I call a soul wisdom exchange. So tonight is a little mini version of that, where we're exchanging our soul wisdom here. But really, I want to focus tonight on the importance of story, because as each speaker comes into the summit and we share our stories, it is helping us to share about, there's an importance in sharing your own story, but there's also an importance and benefit in receiving someone else's. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
I think it's just being a good listener. It's kind of like that whole, because we're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
For good and for bad. we're connected, we're energy. So
Yeah.
because of all of that, I think there's just such a beauty in stopping and being like, it's not about me. It's not about I'm an active listener.
Yeah.
And I want to be part of those moments that we spend together. We become part of each other's story because of that aspect of it. So I think that it's how we grow, it's how we transform.
Absolutely. I mean, I can think of multiple times in my own experience when, for the summit, one of the things that I had all of the speakers do is come up with a title, right, for your story, or kind of an overarching theme. And for mine, it was embracing my weirdness. And that's because throughout my journey, I've had a lot of turning points, really, where those turning points happened because I decided to embrace something about myself that I considered weird, or I thought other people considered weird. And so through experiencing someone else's story, through experiencing whether it's, meeting someone and coming into a similar space and learning from them, or even just hearing someone talk about their experience, it helped me understand that, oh, wait, maybe that's not so weird about me. Maybe it's actually, I wouldn't call it normal, but maybe it's something that actually makes me special, or that is a special thing about me, right? Not better than someone, but something that's unique to me. Can you think of any experiences like that for you?
I was trying to think, one of the things, I just grabbed a piece of paper because I need to, when I'm having these conversations, it helps for me to write.
Yeah.
It's because I kind of process that way. So as you were saying it, it's kind of like it's a form of identification. So we can identify each other. And I love how you said, we can find our specialness, our uniqueness, our similarities, our differences, and embrace them. Trying to think of a specific scenario. I mean, there's just so many times that I think, I don't know, I guess just what's coming to me is I get caught up in my head like I'm a thinker. I'm kind of like this balance of an overthinker, but then also I act quickly on things. I overthink, I kind of it becomes this spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's when someone around me, especially my husband, is like, stop. Just
Stop
stop.
thinking. You're too here. Yeah.
Too much in your head and not in your heart. And that's when I'm like, whew. That's like, I was listening to Dean Graziosi, and he was doing like the 7 levels of why. I don't know if I'm answering this question, but it's
You're answering exactly how it's meant to be answered.
but it's making me think of like the 7 levels of why. So he said, when you are asking what your mission is, like why you're doing something,
Uh-huh.
you ask 7 times and you repeat what's said prior so you can go deeper and deeper. And
Mm,
usually by the third or the fourth response, you see the change from your head to your heart.
I love that. That's really cool. I've actually never heard that. But what came to me while you were talking about that is that right there is an example, right? When someone else is sharing their tools, so obviously that he used that tool for himself. Usually what happens is we find a tool, we figure out how to use it for ourselves, we get really excited about it, and then we want to share it because we're like, oh, wait a minute, I had a problem, I found this tool or this solution, it helped me, I feel so much better now, let me share it with you. And in some cases that tool then also works for another person. In other cases, you encounter that tool and you go, that's kind of cool. And this and this and this part of it worked for me, but this and this and this part don't. But I had this other experience over here, and let me weave those things together. So, I mean, I think that is exactly an example of you learning from someone else's story, that our experiences are a part of our story, right?
It's just like those moments that resonate, and it's true. You get so excited. Sometimes it's a share too quickly, because sometimes it's kind of like you're like, and then someone else doesn't necessarily meet you with the same excitement.
Yeah.
But I think with both of us having the teaching background with things, and you said there's the times where you need to tweak, or you kind of learn to what to
Mhm.
share, what, yeah, there's a tweaking. And I think it's very important to realize that people digest things in different ways.
So important. And even what you said about it's interesting that you said, sometimes you share too quickly and people don't receive it in the same way. But I don't even know that it's that you're sharing it too quickly. I think that it's just that they're not receiving it in the same way, right? So when when you put your energy out there and you share something, you're sharing it, especially in that place of excitement, right? It's this expression of who you are, a part of your identity. And we don't always think about it that way, but when you express anything, especially creatively, right, you're expressing a piece of yourself, of how you see the world, how you experience the world. And then when someone doesn't meet that in the same energy and the same excitement, it can feel very, very harsh to your feelings or to how you receive it, because you're expecting, oh, this was really exciting for me, and then it's not met the same way. But that also is something that we can learn from, right?
Definitely.
And so it's like, how do you receive that then? And that's something that I think as a creative person we encounter a lot, right? I mean, at least I have, or in teaching too. Like, how do you help your students through that, and then how do you take that and receive that as medicine for yourself as well?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's all such amazing points. And I guess what I got from that too is to realize that it's not personal, like to kind of remove the personalization piece, because if somebody's not meeting us with the same energy, it's we can still keep our vibe high and we can still be excited about it or receive it in the way that we do, but then just understand that, like we said, people are different. But I think personalization becomes huge because that's where people get, what is it, react, respond.
Yeah.
You can either react, which is like, or respond, where you kind of take that breath and then think about what it's going to be prior to just being emotional about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a total nerd for words, and I love etymology. I love just digging into, where words came from and also how we receive them. Because, I mean, that is a part of language. Like language is a big way of, for me, of receiving and expressing. And when we think of the word, or when I think of the word react, it's actually react. So you're enacting the same action that you just received.
Oh.
Right. So if your reaction is one to turn around and basically give back the same energy of how you just received it, it can be this like ping pong back and forth of either building excitement, right? You can react in the same way when, if I say something and you're like, ooh, yes, that resonates, it kind of brings us closer, right? But if it's something that you resist, then it can actually keep continuing to push you further and further apart. So when you actually respond, it's going inside, checking in with your body, and then aligning. To me, this is how I see it happen in your body, is you align mind, body, energy, and then you know where you're responding from, right? Instead of having that reaction, you center yourself, choose how you're responding, and do that from a place of presence.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. You explain that. You explain that so well and so clearly. And it's so funny. I was thinking about this past weekend, had a circumstance where I was having a conversation with someone who I didn't know. And we were getting into this deep conversation about family trees and people that have passed and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of approached this topic, which I didn't think would be received that well, but I still continued with the idea of like people who have passed on and like receiving visits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of looked at me like, and I was like, okay, you're looking at me like I'm crazy. So let's pivot this conversation.
Yeah.
His energy was kind of like, I was like, have you ever experienced anything like that? He's like, no.
Yeah. It's that's a really interesting one for me, because oh gosh, for a long time I hardcore resisted that one in myself. And so anytime someone would start to bring it up or share their experience, or I was like, la 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 la, I don't want to hear it, because I actually have I'm very intuitive and am a medium, and I have been my entire life, even though I would not have identified myself as that for a very long time, because it scared me. And the reason it scared me is because I was told to be scared of it, right? Like I was taught to be. No one ever said to me like, Regina, be scared of this thing. But it was something that through my experiences, I kept receiving that, that's one of those weirdness, right? Like one of the weird things I had to embrace about myself. And sometimes now people will introduce me to people they know, and they'll be like, yeah, she speaks to dead people. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like that, but not necessarily in that way. But yeah, like I receive messages through lots of different ways, and that's one of them. I don't have tea with dead people, but but yeah, so it can be kind of, I think a lot of times when people are resisting like that, it's either because it's something that they do resonate with, and they're like, I don't know quite how to navigate that, or it's something that they have learned is a scary thing or a dangerous thing, or whatever terminology speaks to them. So
yeah, totally makes sense. It's kind of like how we grow up, like from kids. It's it's so key that you're told a certain thing and whatever, and then you don't even know why you feel certain ways about certain things, but then you trace it back. It's because you were told somewhere along the way and you held on to that.
Yep, exactly. And then it grows and grows and grows. So, oh my goodness, we could talk forever. I so enjoy our conversations, and we are going to have a longer conversation coming up this week. And I'm blanking on what day you're actually.
Thursday,
okay.
10 a.m.
So Thursday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Thank you, Hollis, for reminding me.
You're welcome.
So many details in my head right now. But you can register for the summit for free. We also have an early bird special where you can get lifetime access to all of the content. And then there's a bonus creative workshop actually to help you really focus in all of the things that you learned from the summit. So that special is running through tomorrow. Well, yeah, tomorrow night. and that's $44. And then after that, the price will go up. But there is, I'll make sure to go back and put the link in this so that everybody can find that. But it's called the Soul Wisdom Exchange Summit. Hollis Citron is going to be there speaking along with 9 other amazing souls that I'll be interviewing. So much fun. So check out, how can people contact you? What's the best way for them to learn more?
Thank you. So yeah, I am creativephilly.com is the way. And yeah, I would love to talk to you about opportunities. And we have this multi-author book that we're filling up. Creativity is whatever you want it to be. And so grateful that Regina is a contributor. And yeah, we're just doing incredible, meeting incredible people, and you get to define what creativity is and tell your story.
It's so much fun. Such a cool group of people. So many fun experiences so far, and we're still in the process of writing it. So can't wait to see what blossoms from that seed.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Hollis, for being here. Thank you for everyone who came live and for everyone who's watching it later. And don't hesitate to ask questions if you have any about either the summit or the book or anything else that the two of us are up to. So thank you. Bye.
Looking forward to it. Bye.